And hello, Buffaloes Nation, or not Buffaloes Nation, I meant to say MFHL Nation, as we put the camera into position. And yeah, we're live here for this edition of the MFHL podcast. Apologies for being away for so long. This episode was also supposed to come out earlier today, and I hope I don't start to lag here because that has been a big part of the problem today, is that we just seem to be lagging more and more as our podcasts try to go along. But we're going to try to get through this one. It's brought to you by Ken Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Elite Prospects, should be goaltenders, as well as, of course, Elite Prospects, Movement, Fitness, and Performance. Ken Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia as well. I have a guest joining me on this edition of the show, Cassie Carvalho. She ended up scoring two big-time goals back in November at the start of that month at the Women's Nationals for Team Manitoba. We're hoping to show you the highlights of those goals once again. We have before here, but I'm just going to throw it right into the interview with Cassie. At the time, they were heading into a matchup against the Winnipeg Ice, and forget who else off the top of my head. We're going to listen to it together in this interview coming up with Cassie, where, yeah, she's had herself a great year to start off with the Winnipeg Ice, even continuing it since that interview, and there's no reason why she ended up being, the player to step up. She was one of the players, as a lot of players on Manitoba had a capability to clutch up and step up in a big spot, and just happened to be Cassie. And I was really excited and glad to be able to talk to her about her experience repping Team Manitoba. Number 16, leading point getter of the Winnipeg Ice, and Cassie Carvalho joining this edition of the MFHL podcast. Cassie, you had yourself one heck of a week last week in Newfoundland and Labrador, being able to score two big-time goals in your team's fifth place win against Team British Columbia, for yourself playing for Team Manitoba. Take me through, first off, what that experience was like and to represent your province at a main stage like that.
Yeah, it was an unforgettable experience. Just being able to play with girls at that high of a level who love the game and love what they do, and getting to play against even better girls, the best girls in the country. It was just like an amazing experience and something that I'm so grateful that I got to experience. And it was just like to end it like that too was amazing.
Yeah, and getting to watch you play throughout these past 2 years, one thing that stands out is the competitor you are. You competed at a high level, so how fired up were you given, in that sense, in that context, being able to, like you said, play with the best in the province and going up against the best of the best from around the country?
Yeah. Well, Manitoba's always been seen as an underdog in that tournament, and being able to prove ourselves against, a program as good as BC in the end too, it was incredible. We were just obviously we went through a heartbreaker the day before, so we really wanted to end off the tournament in a win, which is the hardest thing to do. But I think the fact that we got the win, we worked for it, we really wanted it, and the girls were like so, so, so excited to play in the game, and it was just like it was all in. Everyone wanted it, and I don't think I would have been able to do it if I didn't have such like good people behind me cheering me on too. So
Yeah, quite a stacked Team Manitoba squad, and a lot of support from the MFHL posting about it on social media. The teams supporting, of course, the players like yourself that were there. It was great to see, the hockey community here coming together, and great to see you perform at your highest level in that fifth place matchup. We showed the two goals last week on the show. Take me through those two goals. What was going through your mind in that matchup against Team BC?
yeah, well, I wanted, I definitely took a lot of things that I've learned myself that our coaches teach us. The first goal was, I think, a quick release shot, which is stuff we work on every single day. So I saw Ivy Perkin coming down the side. I was like, hey, got to get myself in a good spot here. Power play just expired too, so we had a little bit of an advantage still, I would say. And it wouldn't have happened if she didn't have her head up and saw me. So I just got a quick little tap in, and that was the first one. So yeah. And then overtime, I saw Maddie McKay coming down the side. So I was trying to get myself in a good spot for her to keep up with her pace. Driving the net, which was what ended up causing the goal. Quick release on the backhand too, which I know is harder than the forehand, but slide it under 5 hole, and I didn't even see it go in at first, so I had to take a quick look back, and then I was like, yay.
Right,
So
right on. Yeah, and that goal was super impressive. I mean, a defender draped all over you, and you're still able to receive the pass and put it into the back net. Like you said, harder to receive that pass on the backhand than it is the forehand. And yeah, I mean, getting to play with this group of girls, like you said, the day before, or I guess the game before, going through a heartbreaker against Team Atlantic when this team gave up three straight power play goals up heading into that third and final period. So, what do you feel it says about this group being able to fight through that adversity and being able to give your best in the end as a whole group?
yeah, obviously they're the players who were chosen for a reason because they have the ability to come back and bounce back after a tough game like that. And obviously, it wasn't what anyone wanted. We thought we deserved to be there as much as anyone else, but I think in the end, we played that fifth place game like it was a gold medal game, and we wanted to win it. And I think that was the difference in the end, that we, even though we weren't playing for gold or bronze, that we're still highly competitive, and it was still a competitive game for us, and we wanted to take home the win in the end. So.
Yeah, and like you said, Team Manitoba always kind of looked at as an underdog, right? And being able to win against a team like Team BC is huge for this province. Congratulations to yourself and that whole group of Team Manitoba players that were able to make this province so proud. And so far, I mean, you and the rest of this Winnipeg Ice group are making your parents and this league proud right now. Being able to start off with a 10-0-1 record, most notably winning against the defending champions last night for a second time this season in the Eastman Selects. Take me through what it's been like this year as a senior coming back to this very strong Winnipeg Ice team to see how this team's been able to start the way they have.
Yeah, well, obviously, 2 years ago we won it. So I think being able to bring that experience of what it was like to be on a winning team and how we practice and how we train as a winning team, all the girls are all in. Every girl at practice is hard on each other. We practice like we play, because if we don't practice how we play, then we're not going to translate it into a game. So our biggest competition is ourselves at practice. And I feel like we use every practice to get better, and you can see it translating on the ice now during our games.
Yeah, and this team's not only winning against the teams beneath them, but also, I mean, everyone's beneath this Winnipeg Ice team right now in the standings, but also being able to prove yourselves against some of the top teams in the league, like the Eastman Selects, the Winnipeg Ices, or the Winnipeg Avros of the world, which of course your team will be back in action against them today. But for yourself, you've started off the season on a very strong pace. Once again, your points per 60 is a bit higher than last year's to start off this season. Take me through, I guess, your progression as a player in this league, the player you've become today, where you're at with your skill set to be able to start off this strong.
Yeah, I definitely think I, oh, that's a good question. I feel like when I came in as a rookie, it was definitely getting used to everything. We had a strong team, so we had a lot of girls all around who were contributing. And I feel like it's like that again this year. I feel like I myself have definitely improved since my rookie season, and I've added to my speed, which I feel is my greatest asset. I feel like I've only been getting faster, but I've also been learning how to not just shoot high, which I know has been how I've scored most of my goals. But I feel also being able to read the ice is definitely a skill that I continue to work on and continue to try and get better at, because if I can read the ice, I can get the puck to other people and not just try to rip a shot or not just try to score bar down. I feel like I like to look and see where other people are so that they get an opportunity to shoot, or we get a scoring chance, or even whatever happens in the end.
Right. And yeah, I mean, that's such a huge progression in a player like yourself's game, a player that is so dynamic with the puck to be able to open up that vision even more. And it was on display last year. From your rookie year to your second year, you got 24 assists in that first year and then 38 assists in that next year. Seven more than your goals total, which was 31. Of course, you have 10 and 10 to start off this year in 19 total games. But you spoke about winning the championship 2 years ago. Of course, you came back last year on a younger Winnipeg Ice team compared to other years, and this team just fell short in the semifinals against the Winnipeg Avros. The team comes in with even more experience this year compared to last year. Spoke about how huge it was to take away that experience from winning, but is it also equally as important to look back at last year's loss and use that as motivation?
Definitely. Obviously the Admirals are also an amazing team, so it was really between anyone, but I think we also had a lot of second years that since we didn't have many third year vets, a lot of second years were stepping up and filling in those shoes as third year vets as well. So I think this year it will seem like we almost have double the experience, and I think no one wants to lose that way again in the end. So we're gonna battle straight to the end, and I think this group has the ability to do it, definitely.
Yeah, and speaking of the Winnipeg Avros, this team's going to play them twice in like the next 5 days here, first today and then coming up on Wednesday. But I guess today's game is kind of bigger than hockey in a way because money's being raised for the Children's Rehabilitation Foundation. Take me through how special it is to be able to play in a game like this again for your third straight year.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome to see all of the younger girls who come up and watch us to play too, and the cause that it's for, it's an honor to get to play for a cause like this and to raise money for what's important because hockey really is bigger than a game. It's passion, and to get to play my passion for such a great cause is really, really honorable, I feel. So.
Yeah, and it's fantastic that, these two teams in particular, the Abros and the Ice, have been able to be able to compete in this tournament year in and year, or not tournament, but in this event year in and year out, this day that's used to raise money towards a great cause, which is to help the kids out through the Children's Rehabilitation Foundation. But going up against a very good Winnipeg Avros team, like you said, this team handled them pretty easily back in your season and home opener, but it's been a long time since then. What's the mindset heading into a game like this against the team's biggest rival?
Yeah. Obviously we are rivals with them, but we all have nothing but respect for them as well. So I think it's going to be a really tough game, but I think if we persevere, we skate hard, we skate fast, we crash the net, do everything that we practice and, just play to win, play to win. And I think if we take control early on, it'll be smooth sailing, but I know that the Avros are also very strong and will push back and aren't gonna take it easy. So I do think it's gonna be a really good back and forth tight game. So.
Yeah, and the Winnipeg Avros looking to, of course, get back into the win column in their first time in their season series against the Winnipeg Ice for Cassie Carvalho and her Winnipeg Ice teammates. While they're looking to keep their win streak going and looking to go 2-0 against the Avros today. Cassie, thanks so much for taking the time and joining me on the show. Congratulations once again on your big time performance down in Newfoundland and Labrador with Team Manitoba to capture fifth place. All the best heading forward this season.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was Cassie Carvalho joining this edition of the MFHL podcast. Heading into the weekend the Ice were heading to at the time when I talked to Cassie. They were going up against the Eastman Selects and the Winnipeg Avros, two matchups they had won. The Ice, they had built up after that matchup, or those two matchups that they won against Eastman and Winnipeg. They built up about a 7-game win streak until this team finally dropped their first game of regulation against the Eastman Selects back on November 28th. And in terms of just the way the standings look, even though Eastman won last time out against the Ice still on top as they are tied in points, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the difference would be. Eastman with the strongest stats in every single category to start off this season, goals for the most, and then least goals against so far to start off this year. They've been a powerhouse, but yeah, the Winnipeg Ice still a really quality team. And speaking of Cassie Carvalho, looking back at her time in the Women's Nationals down in Newfoundland and Labrador, well, this was the first goal of the game. It was tied going into the third period. This was the fifth place game, by the way, between Team BC and Team Manitoba as Carvalho finds herself open in front, takes in a really nice pass there, heads up play, and heads up by Carvalho to put that into the back of the net. And then this game will later get into overtime where Carvalho, a girl draped all over her, finishes off a sweet feed to give Team Manitoba, well, the fifth place at this year's Women's Nationals in Newfoundland and Labrador. And for Cassie to start off this year in the MFHL in terms of regular season play, try to load it on my phone. Don't want to touch anything on my internet's browser right now because it's only going to slow things up. But yeah, Cassie leads her team in not only points right now with 16 and 15 games played, but she also leads her team in goals to start off this year in MFHL regular season play. So yeah, number 16. Excited to see more of her coming up this year, as well as the rest of her Winnipeg Ice teammates, as we're going to have quite a few games of theirs coming up on our broadcast schedule, which we'll show you coming up. But this is what's coming up this weekend in the league. We're actually going to be live in Hartney, Manitoba on Saturday night this weekend to take in the Westman Wildcats taking on the Eastman Selects. There's going to be 2 games in total on Saturday, only one on Sunday, and then we're also going to have Ice and Hawks broadcasted on Wednesday. As we take a look there, a lot of single games here in December as we roll along in the MFHL's regular season. As for the past week of action in the league, dating back to Friday, as there were only 2 games played in the league. That was Eastman's 3-1 win, and then for the Avros winning 5-2 over the Central Plains Capitals. Dating back to last Sunday, it was a very close game. Went down to the wire, needed more than regulation, went to extra time where the Westman Wildcats would win an OT goal scored by Ava Snyder to put home the game winner. As Westman, they've been getting better and better as this season's gone along, as they're now up to 3rd place in the league, as they're 2 wins total ahead of the rest of the teams, at the very least, behind them in the standings. In terms of what happened on Saturday in the league, the Ice ended up bouncing back with a 2-0 victory. Yellowhead bounced back from their loss last Saturday, or I guess the Saturday before the one that just passed. They lost 2-1 to Pembina Valley and Morden on the 22nd, while on the 29th, ending up having a strong third period to take home a win at home, 4-2 over the Hawks. Central Plains won in a close one in a shootout over Interlake, and of course Eastman winning in a close one that we showed on our network, 6-5 in a shootout. That game, by the way, available to watch on gshowproductions.uscreen.io. Take a look at the points leaders as well. Ivy Perkin, no one's been better than her. She actually had a 5-point game in that 6-5 shootout loss that Westman had on Saturday. Ivy was sensational and has been all season long, really, for this team. She's almost up to 2 points per game on average, which is crazy. Delaney Rigaud still leads the league in goals, but it is closer than ever at this point. No goaltender's been better than Addison Tomes as well. 3 shutouts for the select standout, an 8-0 record, and she's only let in 5 goals this year. That's quite incredible. Also has a 9.64 save percentage and a .67 goals against average. If you want to check out the full goaltenders and players statistics, check out MFHL U18AAA.com for all of the details. We're going to send it to a commercial break, and then I'll be back for some more news here on the MFHL podcast. We're going to get into power rankings as well as analysis coming up for Westman and Eastman, our feature game this weekend, from the best female hockey league here in the province of Manitoba, the U18 level, the Manitoba U18 Female AAA Hockey League podcast returns after this.
Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
And welcome back to the MFHL podcast. It's perfect. You're getting a bit of lag here. Awesome. Hopefully we can fight through that a bit here. But yeah, welcome back to the show, everybody. This edition of the MFHL podcast brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Goaltenders, Movement, Fitness, and Performance Elite Prospects, and Terrico. Was joined by Cassie Carvalho in this edition of the show as Winnipeg Ice's leading point getter and goal scorer. Has had some big moments for herself this season. Most notably for herself, a personal accolade is stepping up with 2 big-time goals at the Women's Nationals for Manitoba to claim 5th place in a tournament where they went up against a really good competition. Team Quebec ended up being the team who won it all, and they actually lost to the team who made it to the finals in the quarters. So it was a really quality Team Manitoba group with big-time players, and Carvalho was one of those players. And for Cassie and her Winnipeg Ice teammates, they're going to be featured not once, not twice, but 3 times this month on our December broadcast schedule. I had someone reach out to us saying that they were disappointed in the limited amount of games that we've been covering this year, and it has to do with a few things, but we have been given what we've promised. It is listed that you had 5 games plus, which 5 is minimum. I know that in the other leagues we've been doing, MMJHL and Winnipeg High School Hockey League, we've definitely done more games. So what we're going to be doing in January and February is upping the number of MFHL games. There's also been some where we haven't been able to make it just due to circumstance, like, for example, Central Plains and Pembina Valley on, I believe it was the 29th, or it might have been the 30th. It was one of those 2 days, but I got my car stuck. I guess my family's car, but I got it stuck in the mud, and we couldn't end up making it to that game. And yeah, just some stuff that's been out of our control this year. Bad Wi-Fi at the start of the year, and in the BDO Center for the Community down in Portage. But yeah, we're looking at adding, I think, looking to broadcast around 8 games per month would be guaranteed moving forward, which we'll confirm that coming up next month. But in terms of this month, we start off with a great matchup. The Eastman Selects taking on the Westman Wildcats. Winnipeg Ice and Pembina Valley Hawks is always a great matchup. Interlake, it's always fun to see them competing against the top teams here in the league, and that's who they're going to be competing against in the games that we're going to be showing 2 times against the Ice, and then at the end of this year against the um, Eastman Selects. I gotta say, really excited to get out to Shoal Lake once again, given that Avro's Chiefs always seem to bring good matchups, and that should be no different on the 20th. All games are available to purchase right now on our Uscreen service. And by the way, MFHL fans, this month you can get 25% off your first month if you end up subscribing to either our monthly or yearly MFHL packages. It also applies to our Winnipeg High School Hockey League packages and our all access packages. You can get 25% off all of them by using code gshow.25 at checkout. Game days are also $5 this month, down from $7 to $5. And by the way, we also have something called Refer a Friend that we're going to be putting into action. So, say, I get told, hey, if you refer a friend, you got to sign up first. But if you refer a friend and they end up paying for a subscription, you as the refer, as your reward, you would get 30 months free. So just to clarify that again, if I was to refer someone, I'd have to sign up first. I was to refer someone to subscribe to one of our packages on G Show Productions, one of our monthly or yearly subscriptions. You would then, as the refer, get 30 months free as a gift. Not 30 months free, sorry, 30 days free as a gift for referring someone to pay money to support our business. And the beautiful thing about it is it's not limited, so you could essentially do this 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 8, 10, 12, how many ever times you end up referring someone. With each successful referral, you'll get 30 days free every single time. So think of it this way too. If you end up doing that about 5, 8 times around that range and it's successful like that, you'd essentially watch our content for free for a year. So I think it's a win-win for everyone, and I think that it's going to be exciting to see what comes out of this specifically. In terms of other deals, that's really all for now. But yeah, it's kind of our holiday specials right now. And by the way, your purchase, we've said it before, but a portion of it goes back to the MFHL for them to help offset league fees and to just help them continue to run and grow the league with the revenue that we bring in. The money at the end of the day helps benefits the kids playing and potentially helps more kids play this beautiful game through the leagues that we cover. And speaking of leagues that we cover, the MFHL can't wait to be added in Hartney coming up on Saturday night. As mentioned, it's time to get into some awards, as in Week 8, Erica Maiko wins Defense of the Week. Forward of the Week ended up being Taylor Tarrant, and then Madison Fraze. She was fantastic against the Hellhead Chiefs 2 weekends ago now. Witnessed it. She stopped over 40 shots, as you can see, 46 saves made in that 2-1 win at the time. And yeah, she's a big reason why Pembina Valley's been able to have the type of success they've had this season. She's been a catalyst on this team this year. Those were the Week 8 awards. Congratulations to those 3. The most recent awards, though, ended up seeing Charlie Shearer, Ivy Perkin, and Addison Tomes bringing home awards. For Ivy, 6-point weekend. 5 of those points came against the Winnipeg Avros. Against the Eastman Selects. I was a weekend behind myself, but we also had a chance to see that great performance. Charlie Shearer as well, right? Having a big time performance against Pembina Valley and also contributing against Eastman. And then what about Addison Tomes? Ended up having 2 wins last weekend, and in that game against the Westman Wildcats, Isabella Bossi actually ended up being pulled. Addison didn't start that game, and then Addison comes in and weathers the storm. And she's undefeated for a reason so far this year and now recognized as a Week 9 award winner. Congratulations to Addison Tomes, Charlie Shearer, and Ivy Perkin on winning the latest awards from around the MFHL. We go into the MFHL Power Rankings now. We got a new number 1. That's the Eastman Selects. Just given the fact that they have the most goals for in the league, least goals against, this team has been extremely disciplined for the most part to have proven now that they can win in many different ways. Usually their games are pretty low scoring, but that was simply not the case against Westman this past weekend. But they showed they have the depth, the weapons, and overall the complementary play to be able to get by. They got the same record as the Winnipeg Ice. They've now beaten the Winnipeg Ice, and for the Selects, playing their best hockey as the season continues to go along. Given that they're tied, I just feel like I'd give them a bit of a nod here. As for the Westman Wildcats, hey, look, they've beaten the teams below them this season. They've shown they can do that, and this team's been rising up the standings. This team also showed that they can compete with the best in the league in the Eastman Selects right this past weekend. A team who I'd like to still see them get their depth going a bit more, but overall a team that has been led by Ivy Perk and has gotten some good goaltending so far this year and finds themselves in a top 3 position. As for the Winnipeg Avros, they should actually be below the Yellowhead Chiefs, so amazing. Yellowhead would be over the Avros, or no. Sorry, yeah, I had this right. Now I'm just tripping out. Yeah, I guess I have the Avros over the Yellowhead Chiefs because these teams haven't even played each other yet this year. But even though the Avros have kind of slid as of late, kind of underachieving to start off the year, I still like the makeup of this team. They've had a strong start to the year. They've been able to put up convincing wins, and this is a team also that's been able to compete with the best teams in the league. Now, a lot of times they've been getting outshot, but they got good goaltending. I do like the way they're able to survive in their own end and block shots and play with urgency. And they've been led by some of the best players in the league too, like Callie Lavalley's been really good. Bray Kapusa's been a good addition to this team. And when taking a look at them compared to teams like the Chiefs and the Capitals, and given that the Avros have been able to win recently against the Capitals too, I just take a look at the standings as we look at them once again and look where the Avros are at. They're tied with the Central Plains Capitals. They got a bit of a better record, and I just think their numbers are a bit stronger at this point. For Yellowhead, I bumped them up a few spots just because they've been getting better as this season's gone along. This team is able to get back in the win column. They've been able to find success against, a team in the Westman Wildcats who were above them. They've also been able to find success more so against the teams that are beneath them in the standings at this point. And I feel like Yellowhead's been getting a bit more offense as the season goes along. I like their defensive play a bit more compared to the rest of the teams beneath them. As for the Pembina Valley Hawks, this team's faltered in the past week. That's why I've dropped them down a bit. For Central Plains and Interlake, didn't feel it was necessary to move these teams. Feel like Central Plains, it just comes down to consistency. They've shown that they can compete with the best in the league, but other times they just kind of flame out. So what type of Central Plains Capitals team are we going to get? I'm going to be excited to see how they play during this month, but felt like just keeping them at 6 because, yeah, this team hasn't shown that they should move up or down in the power rankings. That are brought to you by Movement Fitness and Performance, a local Winnipeg gym. Independently owned. Be sure to check them out at 1111 Winnipeg Avenue in building number 3. As Last week on Saturday, it was great to hear that there was over $1,000, just over $1,200 raised for the Hockey Fights Cancer Night, with all proceeds going back to Cancer Care Manitoba Foundation for Eastman's matchup against the Westman Wildcats. So not only a great hockey game that we were treated to over the weekend, but also just yeah, a great night that's bigger than hockey, as I always say for all of these nights that are held by these teams, and great to see these teams and these leagues giving back to these wonderful initiatives, these foundations that are trying to fight the good fight and trying to make a difference in a world that's unfair a lot of times, and cancer is one of those big reasons. And yeah, um, these two teams, they're going to be going at it again coming up this weekend. As take a look at the standings, Eastman's looking to continue to push the Ice to keep themselves in the top of the standings, and Eastman's going to have a chance to go ahead as Westman or Winnipeg doesn't have any games until Wednesday. Then, of course, they'll play next Friday when all other 6 teams will be off and they'll be taking on the Interlake Lightning. But as for this game, Eastman and Westman on Saturday, expecting a really good game once again. I wouldn't be shocked if Westman gets off to a strong start once again in this one just because of the travel time, and it should have worked not in their favor. It should have worked against them, but it didn't. They came out with really good jump against Eastman on Saturday when they had to travel from the Brandon area near Hartney all the way into Niverville, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how that affects Eastman. Yeah, for a selects team that they were pushed against this Westman Wildcats team on Saturday, right? Westman, their top line can really hurt you if they're on, and it happened to be on Saturday, but it didn't end up being enough. Westman's going to need to find depth scoring in this one because even if they get off to a good start and a fast start and they get off to a lead, we've seen Eastman, their team that gets better and better as the game goes along. I also expect that if Isabelle Labossiere gets the start, she's going to be more locked in and ready to go and wanting to get some revenge this time around, trying to right the wrongs. But if they go with Addison Tomes, you know that the goaltending is going to be tough to beat and is going to make big saves down the line. So not only do you need to start off strong, but you need to carry over your play into the upcoming periods. You need to find a way to play a full consistent in 60 minutes because that's what Eastman's going to find as the game goes along is exactly that, their game, which is playing consistent and hemming you in and tiring you out, wearing you down, and opening passing lanes up and opening the ice up to, find yourself open to take shots and high quality looks. I think for Westman, obviously that top line is money for this team, but they're going to need a bit more, especially against Eastman. And this is a good measuring stick for this team, again, because if you want to end up going all the way to make it to a championship and win a championship, you're going to have to go against a team like the Eastman Selects. And to do that, you're going to need all your horses to be ready to go and to come through. I expect it to be a fast game. I expect it to be a game where maybe the rush chances get opened up, just the way these teams play with speed, right? But I think heading into it, I give the advantage to Eastman just because of their body of work and how consistent they've been to start off this year. But as mentioned, if Westman can get off to a strong start, maybe utilize a bit of a sluggish start from the Eastman Selects, if they can find another gear in their game and more players outside of that top line are able to step up, it's going to be huge for this team because, yeah, I mentioned it already, like Ivy Perkin had a 5-point night on Saturday, and that still wasn't enough. So yeah, they're going to need someone, I'm not who, but someone else to come through for them. And for Eastman, they're hoping for a much better start coming up, hoping to shake off the bus legs early. And yeah, their goaltenders are looking to be locked in, look for a bounce back game for Isabelle Labossiere if she gets the nod. And Eastman just has so many levels to their game, which, like I said, you're going to need to play a consistent 60 minutes and need to raise your level to give your best chance to beat them. And even then, maybe it's not enough. But that one's going to go at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night in Hartney, Manitoba, as the Eastman Selects take on the Westman Wildcats. Winnipeg's first game against Yellowhead this year. It's the Avers. They're going to have a lengthy weekend in terms of road trips, minutes they'll be on the road, as first Hartney on Friday night. And then, of course, Saturday evening against the Yellowhead Chiefs. Only one game on Sunday, which will see Eastman going to Yellowhead, which it's nice to see Yellowhead and Westman getting some home games here for, well, this upcoming weekend at least. And as for us, cannot wait to be able to show you, well, all the great games that we're going to have going on. So try to find it here. There we go. 6 games on our schedule this month. Be sure to check them out at gshowproductions.uscreen.io. And remember, use gshow25 at checkout to get 25% off your first month today. And game days are $5 as well. A portion of your money goes back to help offset, subsidize league costs, and to help more kids play this beautiful sport of ours. Or I guess the sport that we call ours, since it is kind of Canada's national sport. But that's all for me for this edition of the MFHL podcast. I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Foresight. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.